what Civitas is for me. I saw on the back of the t-shirts the wording, "What is Civitas?" when I was an 8th grader. And I really didn't understand that at all. Even when my brother, who was in the Civitas program a year older than me, tried to explain it, it's just not really something you can exactly explain in words until you actually experience it. And I feel like today I've kind of come full circle because now I'm standing in front of you and I'm going to try to explain what it is. So I'd like to start out by also talking about what my senior project is. My senior project involves teaching children to read. And so before I go more into that, I'd like to say that through Civitas, through all the learning that I've gone through for the past 4 years, I think that gives me such an interesting opportunity to be able to take that information, take those skills that I've learned, and impart them on younger students, on these elementary kids that I'm going to be teaching to learn. And so I want to go into first and foremost, Civitas is a political science academy, and politics has kind of become a main facet for me, something that has inspired me for the past 4 years. As an 8th grader coming in, I thought Civitas was, reading a textbook about history, reading articles. It sounded extremely boring to me, but I went for it because I thought there was room to grow there, and maybe I could learn to like it. But as I've gone on, I absolutely love politics. I interned at Dan London's office with Andy right there, and it's been such an interesting opportunity for me, and someday I think I'm going to major in politics, hopefully in college, so we'll see. But I think even more important for Civitas, the politics that we learn in Civitas, it's not right and left, it's not Democrat and conservative. Civitas has really taught me to think for myself and build my own opinions rather than, just following the Republicans or just following what the Democrats say. And I think this quote here from Kennedy kind of summarizes how I feel about politics because of Civitas. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democrat answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the balance for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. And that really speaks to me for Civitas because, again, like I said, it's not about being a Republican, it's not about being a Democrat. There's no sort of bias in Civitas that tells you you need to think this way, you need to think this way. The most important thing is learning what your opinions actually are, being able to build your own sort of political party just for yourself. And I think that's really inspirational. And hopefully I can take that information, the love of learning, the ability to make your own opinions, to make your own ideas, and add that to what I can teach these children in my senior project, and be able to impart not only reading skills, but skills for thinking, skills for learning in the future, and most importantly, skills for a love of learning. And I think that could help these kids to be successful for the rest of their lives, and maybe follow me into politics or into science or any sort of thing they can do. I think just giving them a chance to build their own ideas and their own opinions would work wonders on these kids. And one of my most favorite memories from Civitas was the first week of freshman year. Everyone was terrified of the class. We all didn't know anything about politics. This was a class called Introduction to Political Science. All we knew was what our parents had told us. They're very interesting views. My mom's a Democrat, my father's a Republican, so that's all I really know. Just lots of clashing opinions, and I didn't really know what to think from both sides of there. So I was just very confused, and so was the rest of our class. And within that first week, Mrs. Reed had us line up outside the classroom, Republicans on one side, Democrats on the other, and then everybody else who kind of had no idea just crammed themselves in between. But I think I would love to do this again this year, have all of the Civitas students line up again and see how they've changed. See the people that maybe were on the Democrat side switch all the way over to the far right Republican side, or the other way around, or people just actually knowing where their place is in the political spectrum. I think that would be such an interesting thing to see again, because, like I said, we've learned through the past 4 years to be able to make our own opinions, have our own ideas, and really figure out what politics actually is past, you know, the rules of working in government, past the White House, past the Electoral College. We are able to create what politics are for the future, and I think each and every Civitas student can change the future because we have such strong opinions, such strong convictions, and I think we all have a belief that we can use these to change everybody, to work a change, not just watch and complain like most people do with politics. And I think that's a really important skill that we've learned that I really appreciate more than anything. So this is the next part of Civitas for me, which is civic duties. On the first interview I had for Civitas, which was actually in that room right over there, I went in scared out of my mind. I had no idea what to expect, because what it ended up being is standing in front of a row of people. Now, they were high schoolers, but it was very similar to this, and they would ask me questions. I had no idea what to say. It was very scary. I think we ended up talking about the Quidditch Club in the end, but it was, at first I was terrified because I didn't know what to say. These high schoolers, I think they were sophomores, but they seemed so old, so experienced. And part of the interview was writing an essay on what civic duties are, what you think a person should contribute to the government. And so I said, you know, generic things, paying taxes, you know, voting when there's a big election. And I mean, those are still definitely important parts of doing your civic duties, of contributing back to the government. But I think this is the motto of Civitas, which is to be active, responsible, knowledgeable citizens who accept their role as civic-minded adults. And that's more what it means to me now. I think civic duties are, just as it says, to grow, to learn, to be active, responsible adults. And for me, I think active means you actually try, you volunteer for things. You go out to each and every election, even if it's just for school board or if water board or something that people usually don't care all that much about. I think it's impossible to be able to complain about politics, say maybe Romney doesn't know what he's talking about or Obama's a socialist, things like that. You can't say that unless you actually have gone out into the world, you've contributed to these campaigns, or you've created your own ideas about these. But it's something that you need to do for yourself. To be an active citizen, it's not about, you know, watching the news and complaining about the people. It's about being out there and maybe even running for yourself if you don't like the candidates. That's what an active citizen is. And knowledgeable is something even more important in Civitas, because we've done 4 years of very intense learning. I remember I was so overwhelmed my freshman year with homework. It was very difficult, but then at the same time, it's prepared me for college. It's prepared me for the rest of my life. I feel like I really know what I'm doing. Like, I've completed these 4 years, so I can do anything after this. It's been a lot of work, but it's been a lot of learning, and it's definitely not busy work. It's things that you can keep with you the rest of your life. And so knowledgeable, I think, is really important, just because most people don't know what's going on in government. Most people don't even know there's such thing as an electoral college. People, in order to vote, in order to make a change, you really need to be knowledgeable about everything in the world, whether it's news in Pakistan or whether it's something right in the Sacramento area. You need to know what's going on in order to be a good citizen, in order to contribute. And these things add up to being a civic-minded adult. You don't just turn 18 and automatically you're a citizen. It's something that you have to, you know, gain through years of experience, through trying, through failing. You become an active citizen through just caring, honestly, just caring about what's going on in the world. And I think that's something that Civitas has really given me and the rest of my class, a true inspiration to care about what's going on in the world. It's no longer homework to read news articles for me. It's something I do for fun. So that's one something that's really helped me out. I'm very interested in the rest of the world today. And so this is kind of a list of the civic duties that I've created years after writing that essay. So the lack of civic involvement is definitely something that frustrates me a lot, honestly, because people don't vote a lot of times, people don't care a lot of times, people are misinformed. They vote just based on saying Republican, all Republican down, or all Democrat down. I remember talking to some people on the phone when I was volunteering, and some of them would just say, I don't care about the candidates, I'm just going to write all Republican, or I don't care, I hate incumbents, I'm just voting no on that. And they really don't know anything about what's actually going on in the world, but they are going out and voting, which is the first step, but it's completely unnecessary to vote if you're not informed. And so I think something that needs to be hit on is the lack of involvement, or involvement that's uninspired, I guess. And Americans need a broader view of citizenship, beyond voting, beyond just jury duty and community service and even going out and paying your taxes occasionally. It's something that you need to go further than that to be an actual citizen, to be a person who feels involved, who gets everything out of the beautiful democracy we have. You can't appreciate it until you're involved. And the final thing is good citizens take their time to do things on a daily basis that keeps our country strong and free. So by taking a couple minutes out of your time, a couple days to go out and vote, even if you have to drive across town to find a polling place that's not completely populated, not huge lines, or even if you wait in those lines, just that time you take to become an active citizen, to stand in line, to vote, to even to read up on these things. That's what makes you a good citizen, and that's something that's necessary to live in a society and appreciate this society. So this is one of the great opportunities that I've had through Civitas. And it's, as we say in Civitas, it's a commitment to our communities, and this basically means community service. Now, in the past 4 years, I have done 355 hours of community service, which I'm very proud of because of this. Back at the last slide where I discussed going out and being a good citizen, taking your time, I'm very proud that I've taken these hours, given back to the community, even if it's in a very small way, like picking up some trash along the river. I feel like I am actively involved in the community because of this, because I've gone out and taken my time and used it effectively, rather than sitting at home watching TV shows or sleeping it off on the weekends instead of waking up early and going to these river cleanups. Things like that. It's harder work, but at the same time it's so rewarding to be able to look back at these memories and say, wow, I really completed a lot, especially for a high schooler who usually is not involved, usually ignores things like that. So these are some of my pictures. That first one over there was last year at the Lymphoma Society Walk. That was actually a senior project last year. Me and my brother went to that, and we just helped. We went on the walk. We helped the girl who was involved with balloons, with different parts of this. But I mean, even a small thing like walking around the park downtown, it made me feel like I helped these people, even if I don't know anyone who has lymphoma, or I'm lucky enough not to have blood diseases. But I feel like even that way I would just put a little thing back in the community and helped. My freshman year, as I said, I was a little confused about what kind of politics I was thinking of. So I volunteered for Jerry Brown my freshman year. I put out a lot of lawn signs, and actually we collected a lot of lawn signs, and those are posted in Mrs. Reed's room. I remember we got extra credit for bringing them in, and I'm pretty sure I stole one of my neighbor's lawn signs. Animal fins, yep, they don't know those. So far so good. And this past summer, I volunteered for Dan Lundgren, and that was definitely an interesting experience. I remember hearing him speak. He said something about how he went into Congress because of 9/11 and because he wanted to combat terrorism, basically. And I thought that was pretty inspiring, just beyond all of his other political beliefs that people may be against or for them. I think just that alone was something that really made me think that, wow, people out there, like, they care about more than money. They care about more than, you know, how many donations they get a year. He seemed to be pretty set on national security, which was something that I thought was really important for us. And these are a couple other ones. I did the KVIE drive where we called people. We actually got to be on TV for 10 seconds, which was pretty exciting back then. And I love PBS. I guess it's kind of embarrassing for a 17-year-old to be watching PBS at home, but I love it. And so I'm really glad I volunteered for them and got some contributions. This is the Mustard Seed Spin, which is an annual bike ride that we've been doing for the past couple of years, and we went and helped out with that, and I still have the t-shirt from it, but it was a really fun thing when it was early in the morning. We mostly just got to help out. We passed out water. It was a really good experience to be able to help like that and to be able to see other people being active citizens. As I said before, these people are waking up, they're riding their bikes miles and miles, probably getting very tired, but they're out there doing this because they want to help the community. This is the Howe Avenue Toy Drive, which is every year, and it's actually someone's senior project this year, but basically we bring toys to children at the Howe Avenue School that don't necessarily get Christmas presents. And so that's a really inspiring thing to do. Even though I'm not in charge of it, I really appreciate that as something where these kids don't get gifts, and so we can make their Christmas that much better. And even though that's not something that changes the world or affects every single person, I think just affecting one person is that's enough. Even if you have to put time in it, it's really worth it in the end. And the final one right there is from cleaning up the river and around Brio, because, I mean, especially high school students, they don't like putting things in trash cans for some reason. And so I don't think I have to be their nanny, but at the same time, I want to clean it up because it's sad to see how much trash gets left out there. And so picking it up just makes me feel kind of just better about myself because, you know, the animals, I've helped the animals who might come upon this trash, and it just makes the community so much more beautiful, someplace that we can all be proud of rather than a kind of scary area with trash everywhere and just not beautiful. Because Sacramento really is such a beautiful region that we need to appreciate it more, I think. And so this is going into what Civitas has given me as an opportunity, because I've had the most amazing opportunities that I would never have gotten anywhere else, ever in any other place, really. Sacramento is such a perfect place for this, but also Civitas really helps me even more. I think that 14-year-olds can set something up like this all on their own, but amazingly they do, and that's something that Civitas has really helped me with, because it kind of, I guess, gives me a sort of optimism where I can believe that I can make a change, I can do incredible things, even though I'm just 17 and I can't go out and vote, I can't do a lot of things, but I still feel like I can make a change in small ways or do amazing things like the pancake breakfast. And then up here is Perspectives, which is, if you guys don't know, it's a convention they hold every year in downtown Sacramento, and they get really important speakers. They had Sarah Palin one year, who ended up talking about her daughter on Dancing with the Stars the whole time, but it was very interesting seeing her anyway. And we've had some just really amazing speakers, and usually these tables sell for a couple $100 each, even the ones in the far back. And we get to go for free, as long as you sign up in time. But it's just such an amazing opportunity to be able to go and see these people, to, you know, even meet with other business people. You make connections, even as a high school student, which is pretty incredible. And seeing the speakers, it's inspirational. You learn things from these speakers that you can remember the rest of your lives, because they're motivational, and it's interesting. Seeing these people is something that even adults, even very important businessmen don't get a chance to do. And so that's something that I really appreciate about Civitas. I've gone all 4 years because I love it. So it's something that I want to do later. Once I get a job, I want to be able to come back and do these same things. And over here is the International Dinner. which was something that I was very excited about last year. I remember we talked about it and, oh, sorry.
Bill's coming.
Bill's here. We were talking about the dinner and we had to get speakers for it. And that was something that I was particularly interested in. So I went out on my weekends and I emailed people from all across Sacramento, Sac State teachers, I looked up everyone and I sent out emails. A lot of people just didn't respond or said, no, I'm too busy with something else. But I ended up getting a lot of people to respond saying, I'll come. And so I ended up bringing 2 speakers. One of them was named Uwazi, who was an African who migrated, or who came here a couple years back, and he teaches at Sac State right now, and he was very interesting. He talked all about the troubles that they're having in Africa right now and kind of the unrest and how we can combat that. And then the other 2 people were these 2 really sweet older women who had been in the Peace Corps for the past couple of years. One of them was the oldest woman to ever be in the Peace Corps. She was about 80, and she was one of the sweetest women I've ever met. I had to give her directions to the school, which was very difficult over the phone, but once we met her, they were both really amazing people. They gave a great speech about what it's like to be in the Peace Corps and how you can touch other people's lives and really help people countries away in third world countries where people like us would not even understand the types of things that are happening there. So it's really incredible to do that. And so I'll try to be quicker, but this is Bill Clinton. We actually were able to see him last week, which was incredibly amazing because you don't get to do that. Most people never get to do that. And the thing that resonated the most with me for that was at the end he gave advice to students that might want to go into politics later in life. And his advice was to just listen, and I think that's the best advice I've ever gotten, because he said to listen, but even listen to the other side, the people that have completely different beliefs, even if they're angry, even if you don't get along with them, still listen to their story, because everyone has a story, and those things are what help you become a great person.
I did that on this.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to talk about my senior project as quickly as possible. But so Reading Partners is a project that's actually across the whole country, but they have district offices. And so what I'm doing with this is trying to get as many people from Rio, all across Rio, not just Civitas, to come and help after school first in elementary schools that have children who are under the basis of reading, who are not at their grade level. And so one-on-one tutoring with these students, which is an incredible experience. And this kind of helped touch me a lot, because when I was in 3rd grade, I was below the level. And so I actually was in a program like this for a little while. And that really helped me a lot. It was actually very fun, too. I liked it. But so what it is it helps low-income children who are struggling with reading, one-on-one tutoring, which is very important for them because it gives them kind of a chance to not be afraid of being in a big session where they're at different levels, like their classrooms. And so it's people who've fallen behind, and they receive tutoring twice a week for 45 minutes. So it's a big commitment, but at the same time, it's definitely worth it. These are the students from the school we're going to be working with, which is called Babcock Elementary. It's out near Arden Fair Mall. And I think just looking at the kids, it's kind of clear that we want to help them. And so one of the questions actually on the community service form that we fill out for every community service activity we've done is, what community need does this activity address? And so these are the community needs that I filled out for this community service. Literacy is definitely the most important skill that you need for success. You can't really do anything in this society without being able to read. And it even helps with every other subject like math and science, so even if you're not an English person, you still really need literacy. And these kids definitely need literacy so they can graduate high school and they can move up and have a future. So also children who have trouble reading. at an early age, like first graders or second graders, will have little incentive and confidence for learning in the future. So if you start out, even in the lowest grades, not being able to learn and feeling frustrated because you're behind everyone else, then you're not going to appreciate learning, you're not going to like learning, you're not going to have a passion for learning, and that'll really affect them the rest of their lives because it kind of makes them give up, honestly, which is not something we want. We want these kids to go as far as possible. And in California, 88% of fourth graders from low-income communities are below the grade level, so there's definitely a very large population of these children that we need to help. And so, what can we accomplish through this program? These are the results that other schools have had. 89% of the students move up a level, they accelerate. 73% ended the year closer to the grade level than they started. 78% of students who began the year with low self-confidence because they were having trouble learning definitely increased their confidence and started enjoying reading again and enjoying learning. And 97% of principals saw that not only these individual students, but the entire school was benefiting. So to end my Civitas speech, I'd like to end with this quote from Barack Obama. I always believe that ultimately if people are paying attention, then we get good government and good leadership. And when we get lazy as a democracy and civically start taking shortcuts, then it results in bad government and politics. So I think that really describes Civitas a lot because the Civitas kids are the ones that pay attention, they're the ones that get involved. As I said before, they're civic students, they come out of this academy being amazing people with infinite possibilities, and that's what I appreciate so much about Civitas. Thank you.
I kind of rushed Ellie a little bit, so she didn't tell you that she had an internship at the Northern California World Trade Center also, which was why she had that graphic up there. But a couple of questions for Ellie about some first.
No questions, but your presentation is very engaging. The slides were attention grabbers, which is very important. And I like your senior project back at home. My mom's a teacher for kids reading below grade level, so yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
I just have one. I was wondering how Civitas has, if it's had any impact on your family at all. Like, because you said your brother is in it, and you had to do a lot of community service because apparently sometimes I had to go out to places. And your parents are on different sides of the political line. Has it?
Well, I think it's definitely had a pretty big impact, definitely on my brother. I think he's thinking of going into political science too. He's at Tufts University right now. So I think he's still very interested and he feels the same way, that it's really had such a big impact on his life and his choices. And beyond that, I think my mom actually has become very involved in the program. She helps with the pancake breakfast every year. She's done this senior project proposal a couple times in the past. So I think she's very passionate about it as well, even though she's not necessarily in the actual program. Yes.
What do you plan on doing after high school, and how is your involvement in Civitas that you plan on doing?
Well, I want to go to college, but particularly I'm actually thinking a lot about going to a school called Trinity College in Dublin, which is such an amazing school. It was built in 1594, so it has such a good legacy. So many alumni. There's a bunch of famous people. I won't list all of them, but it's a very good school. And most importantly, it's in Ireland, which is something that I'm very passionate about because my favorite class out of Civitas was definitely international relations. And I mean, I figure the best way to learn international relations is if you're living in a different country. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully I get it.
Yeah.
How are you getting other students involved in helping you with this project?
Well, actually on Monday, the woman who's in charge of this project for the area person who works out of the school is coming to Rio and going through a couple of our classes to kind of, give people the brochures about it and talk about it a little bit more because she's been involved with it in a while, so she can tell them a little bit more about it than I can. And then At that point, we're going to pass around a sheet where you can sign up to get involved. And next semester, when the semester begins again, because they do the project by semester, at the beginning, I'm going to get as many people as possible to come with me for a day after school, and it's called a shadow day. So you can come in and watch what they do there, meet the kids. It's a really inspiring thing. So hopefully that'll get people to commit to it longer.
So she's not only going to Civitas, but she'll be going to student government and then also Interact and Key Club, which are the service organizations on campus. So, and then of course anybody else who's interested.
Yeah.
Good question. I enjoyed the presentation. You had a lot of content. I wonder if you might add a couple of heroes that you might name that you didn't already name in your presentation.
Heroes? Well, actually, one of my main heroes is Hillary Clinton. That might sound a little cliche, but she really inspired me because, she was First Lady, but she's ended up going so much farther than that, and she's secretary. She does such amazing things. She goes out and she talks to these big leaders and confronts them, and it's really amazing to see somebody come from just being a wife to somebody who's famous to being even more incredible than he actually was. So I think that's well.
She's done well.
Very good.
She was never just a wife.
Yeah.
So much more.
All right, great job. Great